In this case the background color is going to be white, but we still need to specify the color of the background using RGB numbers, if you like, or integers. So we need to create the image width and the image height. So I'm going to create a variable called image underscore width, and that's going to equal, in fact we'll do height first because that's the easy one. Height equals, and the function we're using is image font height. So we image font height, and we've got camel caps here, remember, so we've got a capital H, F and a capital I. So image font height, and all we do is we simply grab the font size that we're using. So we just say font underscore size, simple as that. So now what we need to do is determine the width. So the width is going to be structured slightly different to this, but it's going to be more or less the same. We just have one addition to the end of this line. So we've got image font width, and that's again from the font size. So we're taking the width from this font size 4. Now, however, what we need to do is we need to multiply this by the string length in order to create a font width that's exactly going to fit our characters in. So all we need to do is multiply this by email length. Now, like I said, what this is going to do is it's going to multiply this by, in this case, 19, I think, like we said. So we're going to be multiplying however big one character is, or the size that the characters in the font go in, and we're going to be multiplying that by 19. So we're going to have enough room for our text. I'll show you later, maybe change it around. If not, you can obviously play around with this value to see what happens, and you'll cut off your image basically. So now what we need to do is create an instance of our image that we are creating. So we're going to take into account two arguments. This is going to be the image height and the image width. So let's go ahead and create a variable just called image. So this is image create. Create. And we first of all need to specify the width and the height. That's the default ordering for this. So we need to say image width, comma, image underscore height. So we've specified the two variables that we've created here. Now our image is created inside this variable here, and we can start doing things like allocating colors to it. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to allocate a background color. So our background color is going to be white, and our foreground color, if you like, or our text color, because we're going to use a function called image string, which basically outputs a horizontal string along our image rather. And we're going to need to take in a couple of parameters. So the parameters that we're going to need, or one of them, is the color. So the first one, remember I said the function was called image allocate. Or image color allocate, sorry. This I've used without defining a variable, because what we need to do is this will simply just set the background color to our image. We're going to specify the instance of our image in here. So we're going to type in image here, so we know that we're just allocating a general color to this image here. Okay, and that color is going to be 255 for the red, 255 for the green, and 255 for the blue. So we've got an RGB value of 255, 255, 255, which, as some of you may know if you've worked with colours before, that is white. So we've allocated a general colour to our image, so we've put a white background in. Now what we need to do is actually create a variable that's we're going to be able to specify the colour of our text when we output it. So with the font, as with the font size, I'm going to say font underscore color, and this is going to be equal to image color allocate. So I'm using exactly the same function. I'm applying it to exactly the same image. So we've got image and image, but this time I'm going to set the RGB values to 0, 0, 0. And again, for those of you who have worked with colors or recognize what this could be, this is the color black. So we've got black here with 0, 0, 0. So we've got opposite ends of the scale, 0 being the minimum, 255 being the max, and we've got white and black. So that's pretty simple. Obviously I encourage you to play around with different color values, play around with different things like that, and you'll get a lot used to using these functions and how they work. So now what we need to do is just use a standard of a function on its own. We're not going to put it into into a variable, and this is called image string, and this in total takes 6 arguments. So we're taking 6 arguments into this image string, or parameters. So I'm just going to type image string. So the title of the function sort of gives it away. We've got image, which is what we're creating essentially, and string. So we're creating an image from a string. So the first thing we're going to do is give reference to the image that we've created, or the canvas that we've created. We've applied our color to our canvas. We've created a variable called font color, which we're using inside our image, and we can specify that color in here. We now need to say what the font size is going to be, so that is font_size. Remember, we set that up there to 4. We're then going to specify the x and the y coordinates where we're placing this text, or this string, inside our image. Now, because we've created it with the height of exactly the font height, and we've created it the width of exactly the font width, we're going to set this to 0, 0, but it's going to be in the top left hand corner. And the reason for this is because if we were set this to any positive amount, or any negative amount in fact, it's going to overlap or underlap, and we're not going to be able to see anything. But again, these are values that you can change and play around with after you finish with the tutorial, so you can feel free to see how they work. Okay, so the next is the email. We need to specify the email address that we're echoing out, which is in fact the string data. So we're going to say email. That's pretty simple. And then last but not least is the font color. So font_color, which we specified here, remember. Notice that nowhere inside here are we setting the background color. That's why I left it without declaring it and putting it inside a variable. So we've done image string. You might think that we're done. We've output a string in image format, but now what we need to do is finalize and create our image, and we do this with the function I mentioned it earlier. It's image JPEG. Oh, without the O. So what we're doing is we're outputting our image. So with this image string, we've modified this image, this instance of our image here that we created, image create. Now what we're doing is we're outputting it. Make sure you don't forget your semicolon on the end of the line. And now we are pretty much done. So now what we can do is test it. Hopefully it works, and then if it doesn't work, we can fix it, and if it does, we can look at how we can use it more practically. Because remember, I mentioned earlier that we can't use HTML output either before or after our PHP tags, because what we've done is we've changed the content type of this entire page to an image.